What's up, everybody? How is it going tonight? This is Wednesday night, and it is Cinema Edge podcast time with my buddy TJ. TJ, how's it going tonight?
What's up? It's going great. How's everybody else doing?
How's everybody doing? I see somebody doing right now. Say hello, say hello.
A party people.
By the way, if you are watching this, please like, comment, subscribe to our podcast, which I have linked down below. Please do so. We'd really appreciate it. Tonight, we are finally talking about Final Destination Bloodlines, giving our thoughts, and then ranking the movies, talking about our favorite death from each movie, and talking about our favorite opening sequences, ranking them. So, TJ, what's going on? What's new in your life?
Honestly, not much, man. Just working, hitting it hard. Also, if you're watching on the Double Edge Cinema podcast, make sure that you go subscribe to Ryan 1988 and check out a lot of his solo content.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, anyway, so I have seen, when did I see this? 2 weeks ago. And on my channel, I was reviewing each movie leading up to this. But because we were going to talk about this, I wanted to give, my, first reaction here. So, and I know you saw it last weekend, right, DJ?
I did, yes, sir. I was a little late. I didn't get to watch it as soon as I wanted to, but yeah, me and my wife, we had a fantastic anniversary dinner, celebrated our 10-year anniversary, and then we finished off the day by watching this movie.
Well, happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Thank you,
sir. You're welcome. Mark, what's up? How is it going? My buddy Mark. I've known Mark for a very, very long time. How are you, Mark? How's it going, bud? And how's the family doing? But anyway, so we both have finally seen Bloodlines, and we're gonna start with that. Give our thoughts on it, and so yeah, why don't you start, TJ?
Okay, so I genuinely love this. We've talked about it a little bit off of camera.
Yep.
I mean, it's been a while since we had a Final Destination movie. When did 4 come out? 5.
5 came out in 2011. I saw that.
2011. Yeah. So it's been 14 years since the last Final Destination movie. It's no secret that towards the end of their hierarchy, they kind of started to teeter a little bit. I think 6 revamped it. It brought it back. It put it back on the charts again. I mean, it was scoring high on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, you showed me that. Mm-hmm. I think they got innovated with some of the deaths. The story was different, and I do have a plot issue maybe that we can talk about while we're doing this episode. But I really enjoyed it, man.
Shout out.
Hi, baby girl.
What's going on? Oh, let me see if I can get these comments up. Dang it. Okay. What's up, Megan and Lily? How's it going? But yeah, so you said you loved it?
I did. I really enjoyed it, yes.
Yep. I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was a great and solid entry into this franchise. And like you said, it really did revamp this franchise after being gone for so long.
Yeah.
And it's kind of killing at the box office.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, like, because it's been so long, like, a lot of the younger generation, like the people that are just coming out of high school or stuff, like, these are movies that they've never seen.
Yeah.
They've never heard of them. So I love that it's putting it back on the map and is bringing these older movies back. And I genuinely love just right now we're kind of in an era where, I don't want to say remasters, like they're revamping. Yeah, they're revamping all these old series. Like, I mean, we've got Jurassic Park on the horizon coming out, which is a very long-running series. We've got 28 Years Later coming out later, I believe, this month.
Yeah,
which is why I'm super hyped for that movie. So I love that all this stuff is coming back.
I do too. I mean, and talking about that, we got I Know We Did Last Summer in July, which I'm excited for. I love the first two movies. That's with the returning cast members. That's 20 plus years in the making. You talked about 28 years later, and that's, I mean, 28 weeks later came out in '08, so that's 17
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there. So I mean, that's just unbelievable. But I love this. I love this resurgence. Another one that they just announced a couple weeks ago, Urban Legend. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. Great '90s slasher movie. That one is getting a revamp as well. So we're seeing, and I love this. We're seeing all these great '90s, 2000s movies getting these nice reboots, and like you said,
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Karate
That's
Kid
another big one.
is coming out. I feel we've already had Scream, but we have Scream 7 with Neve
Yeah,
coming back. Um, when she was absent from the last one. There's
yeah,
so many great movies that they're announcing. They just announced that the Saw is coming back to James Wan, and Blumhouse is taking it over. So
yeah.
Lionsgate can go into Blumhouse. So yeah, I mean, we have so many great um, movies coming back that are revamping. So, Mark Jones has a question for us. Did you guys see that there could be a reboot for Shawshank Redemption? Insane to me. I honestly don't. Honestly, honestly, they don't do it. What have you ever seen Shawshank Redemption?
I have not. So one thing you guys will learn as you interact with me more often is that I really like early 2000s on for me. A lot of movies that predate early 2000s, or even a lot of movies in the early 2000s, I've not watched. I'm obviously a big movie fan, but I've just never took the time to go back and watch all like the big classics
Yeah,
outside of a few. Um, like which Justin is really helping me like introducing me to a lot of this stuff. So, but no, I've heard a lot of Shawshank, but I've actually never watched it.
I'm gonna be truthful too. I've never seen it. I think I've seen
Really?
I've never
Okay.
seen it. That's insane to say because I honestly own it. I own it in like a pack of movies, so I need to
Really?
watch it. I need to go and go back and rewatch that one. But and yeah, we yes, and Mark said I hope they don't do it. So
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
kind of put that together.
yeah. I don't know if they should do something like that though. I mean, I've never seen the movie, but it's like this classic movie that a lot of
Mhm.
people love, and sometimes there are movies you just don't need to touch, and I don't think
Yeah.
this is one of them. But I wanted to talk about Bloodlines. Not talk about like the opening sequence or our favorite death, but I thought the acting was really good, solid acting. Um, I think there's good surprise twists throughout the movie. I think there was a couple of twists in this movie. Uh, I thought visually it looked great.
Mhm.
Um, and overall, it was just a fun time. I just feel like this movie was very entertaining. It's not my favorite of the franchise, and you'll see where I rank it. Um, but I still had a great time with it. And thinking about the movie, like throughout these last 2 weeks, like I love this movie more than I did when I first saw it. So, and I thought it was a great movie the first time I saw it, or the first initial reaction of it.
Okay. So the one big thing too, I'm gonna get out of the way, and this is not a spoiler. I mean, it's a spoiler, like a tiny bit, but not really. Because a lot of questions, like a lot of the main thing that we kept asking going into this movie was, what is the bloodlines referring to?
Hmm.
And essentially, the plot of this movie is uh, a woman on her prom night. I'm guessing it was a prom night, or maybe they were just on a date. I don't think it ever really said.
I think it was a
They
date.
might have been on a date, yeah. But they went to this brand new building as a big old skyscraper, fancy dinner, back in the olden days. I don't know if it ever said a time era.
I think
I
1960s.
was, yeah. But anyway, they get in opening night to this fancy skyscraper restaurant thing, and the people that created the restaurant really like cut corners, so the restaurant was just really shoddy made, and it was opening night, so it hadn't really been tested well. So anyway, they go up on the top of this building. Uh, And then she has her premonition, and she ends up saving everybody in the building.
Mhm.
And then she learns how to cheat death, kind of secludes herself, and then gets pregnant and ends up having a family. That family expands, and then her granddaughter starts to have premonitions because death never got to grandma, and then they learn that their family, because they were never supposed to be born, death is, after all this time, correcting the mistake of their birth.
And then yes, so and then there's another not tiny spoiler, but like people that survived. All I'm going to say is people that survived the opening sequence, um, their families were affected by this.
Yes.
So it just kind of expanded to so many people, which kind of connects. How I got it was it connected to the previous 5 movies, like that was just passed down and passed down and passed down.
Yeah, yeah.
And they do mention that in this movie with one specific character that, without giving too much away, is very well known in this franchise. So that's all I'm gonna
Yes.
say.
Yes, yes, yes.
I do. Oh, Happy Pride, by the way. Happy Pride.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes.
Yeah, they she said that she saved hundreds of people in the tower. And that's why, because death had to go through and hit all these different family lines before it got to her. That was one of the
Yes.
reasons why it took so long. Um,
Oh,
now, go ahead.
I would say Tony Todd, by the way, rest in peace. I am a big Candy.
Yes, absolutely.
Loved him in
Uh,
these movies. He was fantastic in the
yeah.
role that he had in this. So,
So there's one flaw though, and I only remember this because I've recently rewatched the movie.
mhm,
In, I believe it was the second movie, they said only new life can break the path of death.
it's true.
And there was a whole premise of the pregnant lady, and they thought she was going to die in the ambulance, and they thought they had saved her, but they didn't save her.
Yeah,
Okay, so if only new life breaks the path of death, how come all these families being born didn't stop it?
exactly. So
That is
it's,
my one flaw with this movie.
and I think every one of these movies had that. Like, I think 5, even though I love 5, I think 5 kind of did the same thing a little bit, where it was like, if you kill somebody, then your death skips you.
It was, if you kill somebody, you gain the remainder of their life.
Yes, okay.
That's what it
That's
was.
what it is.
Yeah.
Ethan, what's going on? How are you? What's up, bud? But yeah, so I mean, every one of these movies, kind of like with any franchise, like they kind of like change the story a little bit.
To fit their
Uh,
agenda, yeah.
but overall, I have to say, like out of franchises that I've seen, this one is probably one of the most solid ones when it comes to flow. Like overall, like if you go and watch, even though I love the Halloween franchise, like that franchise is everywhere. Um,
Yeah.
and there's so many others like that too. So
Yeah.
it's consistent.
Also, I mean, those franchises have been around for so long. It's hard to kind of keep that at a linear path.
True that. True
Yeah.
that. So, but no, great solid entry in this
Yeah,
franchise.
yeah. I really enjoyed it. Trying to think of a couple of the deaths. Like, it had some very unique deaths.
Yeah,
Uh
it did.
Particularly, like, it was really cool watching her kind of like adapt to, like, being able to foresee the deaths, like, without giving you spoilers. There was that one death, they were like, oh, well, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna do this and this, and she was like, well, you could do this, do this, do this, and then like 5 seconds later it like happened.
It did. Yes.
Which was, it was just cool. Yeah.
And I want to mention, yes. So I love the like you. I love the. I thought the deaths were really creative in this. Um, well, I mentioned Tony Todd. I thought his scene was so good in this movie, and like, so if you don't know, like, I know you know, but like, if people watching, which I'm sure you do, but like, he is now passed on, and like the final line that he has in this movie, I choked up. Like,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
really
It
sad. It was
was
like, Wow.
It was which he died of cancer, correct?
Yes, he died. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like he knew he was gonna go, and it was also kind of like it was like his way of saying goodbye to everybody as well, which I thought was really cool. Yeah.
A great send off to this franchise, but also people that just loved him growing up. So,
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Ethan,
He said he's all right. How about us? Didn't get a chance to watch the movie, so no list from you. Oh, you're missing out, man. That's all I'm gonna say. But
I hope our stream kind of gets you motivated to go and watch them
Yeah.
because I had a blast watching this franchise. Like, there's only one bad egg in this franchise, and I still
and it wasn't that bad. Yeah.
it wasn't that bad. Like, it's watchable. I guess you call it so bad it's good. So
It's
so bad it's good.
I wouldn't call it a bad egg. I would call it the worst of the eggs.
The worst of the eggs. That's the best.
Because it's not a bad movie. Just when in comparison to the other movies, it's not great.
When I think of a bad movie, I think of like Freddy's Dead. Sorry if you're a fan, anybody, but like Freddy's Dead is like horrible. I cannot sit down and watch that movie. Or like so many of the Leprechaun movies. So this this movie is not. I mean, my least favorite is still watchable for sure. So
I think we should go ahead and just hop right into the ranking here.
I think so too. And Ethan, yes, go watch this.
All right. So Ethan, since you've never seen, I'm assuming probably never heard of the Final Destination franchise. The premise,
like, does he know about them?
He said he's not had a time to watch the movie, so I'm gonna assume that he's never seen them. He's also of the younger generation. He's only in his early 20s.
That's true.
So I'm gonna assume that he's probably never seen any of these because they came out when he was probably like 10. Some of them older than that. So the premise of these movies is at the beginning of the movie, the main character has a premonition of a giant accident that's going to happen that's going to kill everybody.
Yep.
They freak out. They end up saving a bunch of people, and then Death gets pissed off and starts slowly picking them off in the order that they would have died in the premonition.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And every movie, like we talked about, like they always bring something to it. Like the second movie said, you got to give birth, or however it was described. Like you have to give life.
New life breaks the cycle of death.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like each movie kind of brought something. The only one that really didn't bring anything new that I really can't remember is part 4, but we'll talk about that as we rank the movies. So,
so what we decided we're going to do is we're going to rank them least favorite to favorite, but we're also going to talk about our favorite death in that movie. Yeah. And then at the end, we're going to talk about our favorite opening sequences.
And I'm excited for that. So that was probably the hardest one for me, by the way, was doing the.
I had to think about it. I still don't know that I love my answer.
Same here.
But yeah, well, we're gonna get into it.
Okay. So,
Justin, what is your least favorite Final Destination movie?
My least favorite Final Destination movie is, they call it The Final Destination, but I will always call it Final Destination 4 from 2009.
Well, that is also my least favorite movie, which anybody that's seen these movies is probably not surprised.
And if you love it, that's awesome. But yeah, this one for me, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I'll just say, like, when before the 4th movie, like, I loved every one of them. Then 4 came out, and I just thought it was, like, overall, like, the first time I saw it, I hated it, so it's grown on me a bit. But, like, I just felt like it was a bit rushed, and characters weren't as likable, and you really didn't.
I agree with that. I think the biggest flaw for me was the main character's acting. He was just not very good, and he may have went on to do other things. I don't know that I've ever seen him in anything else. I probably have. Just it's just one of those things. I don't think the acting was great. The opening sequence was something that I didn't care too much for. And I do remember when this movie came out, it was when like 3D movies were like a newer thing that was popping. I remember I went to see this movie in theaters. It was me, my sister, my mom, and I can't remember if I was with Megan or not at the time of this one. I want to say it was probably earlier into our relationship or right before we got together. But I remember going to see it with my mom, and I did like it when I left the theater, but it didn't age well. I mean, it's been 10, 12 years.
No, it's been 16 years.
6 years, longer than that. So I remember a lot of the deaths in theater had a lot of things flying for the 3D effect.
I saw this movie when it came out on Blu-ray, so like the 3D didn't have the best effect for me. It was like those old cheap 3D glasses. I'll say this though, the one thing I remember about this movie is I saw another movie opening weekend when this movie came out, and that was Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And I was so
Okay.
mad because Final Destination 4 beat out Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
actually kind of surprised at that, to be honest.
it did, and I was devastated. I was like, "What?" And then I watched this movie, and the first time I hated this movie, and I was like, "How dare they?" But a lot of people hate Rob Zombie's Halloween too, but I'm a
Okay.
fan. I love it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, that's my memory
Uh,
of this movie.
what was your favorite death in this movie?
I really had the hardest time thinking about this because I feel like this movie really had like the lackluster of deaths, but the one that stood out for me the most, maybe because it was just like try not to be funny, but it was a swimming pool death where the guy
That
like gets
was
sucked down the drain.
that was mine as well. In this
Or
in this particular death, uh, the guy is kind of like the jock guy of the group, and he's got a lucky coin. And he goes to a public pool, and he's basically like, "Oh, fuck death! Death can't get me. I'm too cool. I'm too tough." And he drops his lucky coin. It falls into the pool, and then the drain in the bottom of the pool sucks the coin up.
Yep.
And when he's trying to get it, the cover piece breaks, and it sucks his butt to the drain, and the pressure's building up in the tank, and eventually it sucks all of his insides straight out of his asshole.
The worst thing about this is that guy was hot.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not the nicest guy, but you have a pretty face, and man, your luck ran out. But I will say, probably the most funniest death. It's one of the worst things about this movie is actually like the line that I have like on the screen right here. It's when the mom is so late to getting her haircut that at the end of all of this, she has this one line in the movie where she goes, "I got my eye on you," and this rock
Yeah.
is like hits her right in the eye. One of the worst sequences in any of the movies, but it's
Um,
beautiful.
it also foreshadows that. She says, or when her kids are outside throwing rocks,
Yeah.
she says, "Don't throw a rock. Lawnmower will catch it and take your eye out." And then
Yeah.
that's how she died.
Yep. But the whole time you're watching that sequence, it's like you think she's gonna die by a ceiling fan or she's gonna die by this,
Yeah.
and it's like, nope, she died by getting a rock in her eye.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
that was actually the runner up for me. I had to think
me
between
too.
those two.
Me too.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right.
All right.
So, let's start with you with this one. What's your number 5?
So my number 5 is the fifth one, and I struggle with this. It may be too long. This list was very hard for me to
It was
make
very hard
because
yes,
all
sure.
of these movies are pretty solid movies, honestly.
After you get back to 4
I really struggled with honestly, what is the third one? Okay, I really struggled with 1 through 5 in general, just placing them because they're all very good movies.
Yes.
But one of them had to fall at the bottom, and I guess I've just seen 1 through 3 so many more times, and 4 was just bad. So 5 just ended up at the bottom. There was a lot to unpack on this movie. My biggest issue with this movie was the whole forced like love triangle between the main character and the girl that was clearly over him. Like she did not care. Um and then there was that douchey guy that was walking around talking on his phone the whole time.
Oh yeah.
The Buddha statue guy.
Yes. Oh, again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be like this suave guy that was like macking on chicks, and he was really just like the dorkiest dude in the whole movie.
Yeah, he was kind of creepy. Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
I'm like, get away from me. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so this might be blasphemy for some people, but I put Final Destination Bloodlines at number 5 for me. So
Okay.
now,
Okay.
again, once you get past 4, like for me, the rest are just so hard to rank
Yeah.
because there's times I borderline love this movie, and other times I just really enjoy it. Um, I do, like I said, I think the acting's great. I think there's some great acting here. There's some characters I don't like in this. Like there's the one brother who like works at the tattoo shop. Everybody's loving him online. I'm like, I
Oh,
can't stand
he
him.
was easily like my favorite character.
He was your favorite? Like
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
could not stand him in this movie.
yeah,
Like I mean, he would try to do things that just irked me sometimes. I
yeah.
mean, um, what else
I
about?
would say my least favorite character would be the peanut allergy brother.
Really? He's
Yeah,
like one of my favorites.
yeah.
He was
He's
one. Well,
weird.
you know, part of my least favorite is the sister. Like you really get to know too much of the sister.
Yeah,
Her
yeah,
her death was. I think I laughed a little bit out loud
yeah,
when it happened.
yeah,
But I think what kind of like so like this movie's ranked on Rotten Tomatoes as the best of the franchise, and for me, when I walked out of the movie, I was slightly disappointed because I was like, I was expected to be like, this is my second favorite, or something like that.
yeah.
And I'm glad it's getting the love that it's getting, and I'm glad the movie made a whole bunch of money at the box office. Um, but yeah, right now, this is like because I've seen it once. I'm gonna rank it in at the fifth place for me.
I'll rate it a
Very
little bit
hard.
higher. What was your favorite death in Bloodlines?
The MRI scene for
Okay,
sure.
this is a little foreshadowing because I ranked this movie a little higher, but the MRI machine was also my favorite death.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty gruesome and definitely the best because like leading up to that, you didn't know what to expect. You were like,
yeah.
how are these people gonna die?
I think my favorite part about that deaths, and this may be a spoiler for anybody, but I'm just pre-warning you now, because it was a death by an MRI machine. For you, those of you that don't know, MRI machines have very powerful magnets in them, and this guy had a lot of piercings all over his body. So when the magnet started kicking up, it started like ripping his
Right.
piercings out,
His
and
brain.
then it started pulling at his nipples, and then he like grabbed and like went like this, and then it eventually got his nipple piercings, and then it showed like his penis. So it was like a hint of comedy right before the most like brutal death scene. He like got folded up like this, like dick first.
um, but yeah, and then the whole sequence is like, and again, they're he's like, well, if we kill you by giving you a Reese's bar or Reese's cup,
Yeah,
I could bring you back, and I thought that was funny too. So
yeah. It was fun,
it,
but also like insanely stupid.
yes, it was.
Like,
Yes,
because
for sure.
what if you didn't bring him back and then you just fucked it up?
He murdered him.
Yeah.
So, oh gosh, but yeah, I mean, again, I'm gonna obviously I really enjoyed this movie, borderline love it, and I'm looking forward to rewatching the movie. It's definitely
So
gonna be one of those movies that gets a lot of rewatch from me.
my favorite death in Final Destination 5 was the gymnastics girl.
That was a great one. I almost picked
That death was so brutal.
yes, I
And
almost
I love the like slow build up to it. Like it showed like the screw falling on the balance beam, and then she did the balance beam and like avoided it. And then like it showed like the puddle of water and the electricity. Nothing happened with that. And then she just goes up and then the thing comes loose and she just
yep, yep. That
yeah,
was I almost picked that one. I
yeah.
almost picked that one. So great one though. All right, so in fourth place, I'll go this time. I know this might be a little blasphemy. I used to think this was the like second best, and it's went down after rewatching some of the others. Still love it though. Final Destination from 2000, so the first one.
First one.
Uh,
Okay.
I again love it, but rewatching the movies, I think that there are three better movies above this. Not taking away from how great this movie is, though. Like 25 years later, I still think the movie's great. And
Mhm.
I love, like, especially during this time, you got to think about it. It was like, you had Scream, and I know he did last summer, and Urban Legend, and all these like slasher movies with a killer in it. This was the first time, maybe not the first time, but one of the unique times that there wasn't a, man in a mask or woman in a mask going after somebody. It was death going after a group of people who cheated death. And
It
so,
was a very unique
yes,
concept that we had not seen
yes.
before.
And I also loved, especially watching this for the first time, because I remember renting this on VHS with my mom and sisters. And we sat down, we watched it, and the whole idea was cool. And then the surprise that like I had on my face when I would see these people die was like I didn't expect it that way, was really cool. Again, it was a unique thing, and I still love it today. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Like, for me, great movie. Yeah.
What was your favorite death in that movie?
Ironically enough, the one that really like made me jump the first time I saw it, and it was the best death.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
have you have I think her name is Terry. I think it's Terry. I could be wrong, but she, they've all just like been really affected by what has happened. She's the girlfriend of like the bad boy in this movie, and so they get out. He's fighting with Devon Sawa's character. She says, "Enough's enough. We got to move on. I want to move on. If you don't want to, then you could just drop dead." And she gets in the road and bam, gets hit by a bus. And
Yeah, like, it
I
was just something you didn't see coming, it just happened.
no, and
Yeah.
it's quick and easy. It's a quick death, but like you said, you just didn't see it coming. So it was a
Mhm.
great jump scare when you first saw it. So yeah, still one of my favorite all time deaths in the franchise for sure.
So my number 4 was Final Destination 3.
Ooh, okay.
Um, I'll go ahead and start with my favorite death in that one.
Okay.
My favorite death in that movie was, the main character was sitting in or they were him the guy and the girl, they were sitting in a drive-through, and they
Uh,
were getting ready to order some food, and then they saw a truck, like a box truck up the hill, like,
yeah.
running down the hill, and they were, like, freaking out, and then they ended up eventually getting out of the car, and they didn't realize that the guy in front of them was somebody that was part of the premonition at the beginning. This one was a roller coaster, I think,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, yeah,
The roller
yeah.
coaster.
Yeah. But anyway, they get out of the car and then uh, the box truck hits the vehicle behind them and the engine propels out of the hood of the car and right into the back of the guy's head and the blades just like chop his brains
Oh
out.
yeah.
It was awesome.
Stacy, no, not Stacy Keach, whatever his name was, like something something in the movie. So
His name was Frankie in the movie. I actually wrote it
Frankie,
down. Yeah.
thank you, yeah,
Yes.
Frankie.
This movie overall, I this is probably the one that I remember the most weirdly.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if it was just the cast because I mean Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she played the main character, the premonition lady, and
Yeah.
I think out of all of the main characters for this one, she's probably the person that I think has went on to be the most successful. She's
Hmm.
been in a lot of movies. Um, so maybe that's just why this one sticks out. Plus, I love roller coasters, so that opening sequence was like probably the most realistic for me.
Yes. Same,
So
same here.
yeah, yeah, I
Um,
really like that one though.
I did too. I love that movie. So, speaking of which, coming in at number 3 for me is Final Destination 3. Whoa.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So, my favorite memory seeing this movie. This was one of the first R-rated movies that I got to see in theaters when I turned 17. I might have been 18 at the time. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to age myself right now a little bit, but
Came out
I
in
saw this.
2006.
I was 18,
So I
maybe
was
17.
14
Yeah.
in year 3. So yeah, you were 17.
I'm cold. I'm old as something else. But what's up, Ashton? He says, "What's
There he
up?
is.
What's
He's
up?"
late to the party, but he made it.
He did. How's it going, bud? But anyway, saw this movie opening weekend with a buddy of mine. We sat. I know it's crazy to think this, but we sat like in one of the first front rows because we wanted to be right there. And this again was in the Radcliffe movie theater, which I have a lot of my memories with. And I remember the opening sequence just kind of. I won't talk about it too much, but blew my mind because, like you, I love roller coasters.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so crazy. So I love that opening. Watching it now, there's characters I love. Like I love Mary Elizabeth Winston's character. She's great in this. But there are some characters I don't like as much now. Like I used to think like, oh, every cast member was pretty like the acting solid, but character wise, it's kind of went down for me a little bit.
Yeah.
I do love the surprise ending with the train. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I think overall there's fun creative deaths, and then this movie came out at a perfect time for me because this was like my decade for like seeing all these horror movies in theaters, and you had these spawn of like different franchises coming out, and this was one of them. So yeah, again, I love this movie, and I rated this like a 4.7 out of 5 when I rewatched it. So
Yeah.
it's a great movie. Love it. And then favorite death, there was a close tie. I'll say my close tie was the hardware store death, where you really didn't know what was going to happen, and then you got the girl that gets nailed with the nails. Like that was gruesome. Like it's hard to watch that one.
Yeah, that one was almost mine.
Yeah, but mine is the tanning bed death because
I wanted to say that one, but as a straight man, I didn't want to get called sexist because there was a lot of nudity in that one.
Well, as a gay man down here, hello, ladies. I like me men folk, if you don't know. I like the men. So I probably didn't give it away when I talked about how hot the guy from Final Destination 4 was. But
no, I didn't notice it.
You didn't notice it? Oh gosh.
Never.
No, but I just find this to be very creepy because I remember like my mom would go tanning when I was a kid. And I tanned for a little bit, like after this movie, like years later. I went to the tanning bed, and obviously it's not good for you. Tanning's not good. And they say, oh, it's eventually gonna kill you. Well, this literally killed them. And I think the thing that freaks me out the most about this is one, like being trapped in a box, not being able to get out. Eventually the glass shatters on their face, and that whole like sequence with like the LED lights is creepy, and then they get burned alive in there.
Well, there's a lot too. A lot of that was just incompetence on both the salon owner's side and on the girl's side. Because like if the salon owner hadn't been dealing with his phone, he'd stepped outside of the building using a brick to prop the door open. Like he should have been doing his damn job. The girls frequent tanners. The guy even told them not to take their drink into the machine.
And they did.
Then when they got locked into the machine, the board was there. Yeah. And literally all they had to do was stop panicking for a second. One of them pushed the board, and then both of them would have opened. So like it could have easily been avoided.
It could have been avoided, but you wouldn't have to. So yeah. I think a roller coaster of love when I hear that song. I think about this movie, but I didn't tan for the longest time, and then I was like, it's not Final Destination. I'm okay. So all right, but anyway, so
yeah. So my number 3 was Bloodlines. I don't know that I love this movie as much as I did when I made the list. I made my list like a week ago. The movie was still fresh in my head. It might have just been because it was shiny and new. But overall, I did just genuinely like this movie. So it ranked high.
It's I said, it's a solid movie. So,
And I've already talked about my favorite death in there with the MRI machine, so I'm not gonna go down that road anymore.
So my second favorite is Final Destination 5, which is crazy to think now because I mean I loved it when I saw it in theaters. I saw it in 3D. It was actually much better 3D than Final Destination 4. Um, and I loved it then, and I loved it throughout the years. But I rewatched it, and I was like, this is awesome. I mean, I love this movie so much, and in fact, like it almost ranked as my favorite of the franchise. Like I almost put it at my number one. I think, especially comparing it to the last movie, which was 4, acting was so much better.
Mm.
Characters overall was so much better. Like you said, there's that nerdy guy that I just couldn't stand in the movie. But I think you did have some great acting in this. He had the look like Tom Cruise. I don't know if you noticed him, but he looked very much like a Tom Cruise. And his voice, his mannerisms, everything.
I think they made a joke about him looking like Tom Cruise in the movie.
I think they did. I forgot
I
about
think
that.
they did.
You had the return of Tony Todd. He was missing from the 4th movie and the 3rd movie. Which Easter egg, like his voice is in the 3rd movie, if you don't know. Like overall, just I love it. I don't want to talk about the opening sequence too much right now, but yeah, Bridges, that freaky stuff because that happens. But yeah, loved it. Loved the concept. Loved everything about it. Like for me, like rating it, like I gave it a 4.9 out of 5 this past time I watched it. Like I love this movie. So and my favorite death, like the one that you mentioned was like a runner up. It was the Olympic gymnastic death. But the one I picked is actually on the screen. It's the laser eye death in this. And I think the only reason why it's so like creepy to me is it has to do with eyes. Like I'm not a big fan. I don't think I would ever get the laser eye thing. Like I don't know. I know it wouldn't happen like that, but
yeah,
just the idea of like something like opening your eye when you can't close it, like you're forced to have the eye open, and that whole thing just it's so eerie.
I don't like eye stuff either. Like I can't even. My wife wears contacts. I can't even watch her put contacts in. It grosses me out so bad.
And then you got like this whole thing. So like this doctor, let me tell you what, like would be fired from. Like,
oh yeah.
He's like, I'll be right back. You'll be fine. I'm like, no. You are not leaving me in this room when I'm attached to this machine and I can't move at all. Like, no.
Whatever's going on over there can wait.
Whatever's happening can wait because you're not leaving me. He's like, just calm down. Grab the teddy bear. You'll be okay. And then it's like,
she was like, she was cranking down on the teddy bear too.
I gotta leave the room. You'll be okay. I do this all the time. And then like, she like eventually gets herself off of it after like burning her eye and then falls out of a building. Like the whole thing was just so eerie. So, but yeah, that's my favorite death in the movie. So, but yeah.
So my number 2 is Final Destination 1. Classic. It was the introduction, like you said. It was so unique. I remember the first time that I've ever watched this movie. I was 12, 13, something like that. I was young, but my parents had more of a less caring vibe when it came to that kind of stuff. Like I grew up like I was watching like Child's Play when I was like 7. So yeah. So
my dad was different, but
so I remember I had a couple group of friends that I stayed the night with regularly, and my friend Andrew, we actually call each other like cousins. We're obviously not related, but we're just so close that they're just family. But I remember I stayed the night at Andrew with him and his brother Matt, and we were bored one night. I remember his mom always made us pizza like all the time, and I remember they were like, "Oh, let's watch a movie. Let's watch Final Destination." And I was like, "I don't know what that is." And they were like, "You've never heard of Final Destination?" I was like, "No." So they're like, "Oh, you've got to watch it." So we put it on, and I like immediately. I loved everything about it. I loved like the opening sequence was mind blowing, which we won't get into too much. The characters were all phenomenal, every one of them. Um, Claire,
Yeah, Ali Lauder.
not related to Final Destination. The girl that plays Claire goes on later to play in Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That's another actress, I guess, that kind of did something. Although I don't think I've seen anything with her since. But anyway, just the whole concept of it was great. The main character, I think his name was Alex, if I remember
Yep,
right.
Devin Sawa was real life name.
Yeah, yeah,
This
um,
gorgeous.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it had Stifler in it too. Sean William Scott, he was in it.
Yes,
Uh,
I sometimes forget
yes,
he's in this movie.
yes, I forgot about him too until I rewatched it in preparation for the new movie. And ironically, he was my favorite death.
I was gonna ask you like what
Yeah,
was like he was
yeah,
that was a great one too, and it's creepy,
yeah,
very creepy.
yeah. The jock pretty boy dude with the leather jacket like was trying to like kill them on the train tracks. He was
Yeah,
like, "I'm in control of my destiny," and then they got off the train tracks, and but his car got plowed. And
mhm,
then Sean William Scott's character, his name was Billy in the show or in the movie.
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, we dodged your death. I'm next," and he's like freaking out. And then where the train had ran over the car, it flings a piece of scrap metal out and just takes his head clean
Oh,
off.
yeah, that
It
was a
was probably the coolest death in that movie. I don't know.
it is a creep, and it's eerie. I don't know that whole thing. Was so
Yeah,
creepy. But yeah, that was
yeah,
my second favorite, honestly. Like
yeah,
after Terry's death, like that was my
yep,
I think her name's Terry. But yeah,
yeah. The
love
bus lady, yeah, yeah. Hers was just, and there was another like really quick, kind of unexpected one. Like you didn't expect it to happen so fast, right after they just dodged the previous death.
that's why it's so cool when I rewatch that one. Like I know the deaths, I know them, but I look back the first time I saw it and I was like, this is so unique and so different. And you don't see any of them die the way that they die in this. Like you can't predict it. So it's pretty awesome. Did you know Devin
Um,
Sawa? Remember Casper? Random,
yeah,
but do you
yeah, yeah.
he was the little boy at the end of Casper where
When
remember where
Casper
he's
turned into a real boy.
yeah, and he's like, "Can
Yeah,
I keep you?" Like that's Devin Sawa. So
that's cool. So I believe through process of elimination, we've ended up with the same favorite.
we did. Well, you want to announce it together? You want to just go?
Yeah, it was Final
Two.
Destination 2. Oh, go
Final
ahead.
Destination two.
That was awful.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
Final
Final
Destination 2.
Destination
Yeah.
2.
And I think this probably stands for everybody. Like, we all feel the same thing when we see a logging truck.
Yes. Oh gosh, I saw
Always.
one
And yeah. And this
2 weeks
movie came
ago.
out. Yeah, this movie came out 20 something years ago. And
Yes.
we all avoid being behind a logging truck.
I hate it. I hate
Always.
it.
Yes.
Oh, I hate it.
Yes.
So I hate
Um, yeah, I think when this movie came out, I don't know if it was just because it was on TV all the time or what, but this is probably my most watched movie. And I hesitated to put this as number one because I don't know, like I really just like one was so good and three was so good.
Mhm.
I just really hesitated. I was really torn between those three, but I
Yeah.
think this one landed on the top just because I probably watched it more than the rest of
Mhm.
them.
I think
Go ahead.
no, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was gonna jump to my favorite death, but I'll let you go.
I think the reason why this one for me is my favorite of a bunch, and especially when you're comparing it to its previous movie, which I love, Final Destination. Um, like I feel like the second one just kind of upped the ante a little bit,
Yeah,
up the stakes a little. They, of course, talked about, you know, what we talked about earlier, how like they had that twist there, where if you give life, death skips you or death stops or
yeah, breaks the cycle. Yep.
breaks the cycle. Um, so that was a nice little twist when the movie came out. Also, it's probably one of the saddest deaths in this franchise, and that's you think Claire is going to survive all this.
Yeah.
Because like in this movie, so if you don't know about Final Destination 2, the movie, there's another character, I think her name is Alex too. I can't remember, but Alice something. She, predicts this highway accident that's going to happen. And then she finds out that there was another survivor, and that was Claire from the first movie. Alex now is dead. He died by a brick falling on his head and
Off screen.
off screen. And she's locked herself up in an asylum willingly because she knows that death cannot get her there. But towards the end of the movie, when you think everything is okay, she dies, and I still watch that, and I'm like, I hate when she dies because she's such a likable character that you don't want anything to happen to her, and she survived this once, and it just sucks that she didn't make it out of this movie. But I love our lead. I like the characters overall. I think the deaths are pretty great too. So yeah, what is your favorite death though?
So my favorite death was right after the car accident.
Mhm.
It's not the girl that gets hit by the airbag, though. That was a good one. There's a scene around that time when all the ambulances are pulling in or whatever, and they're pulling into the yard, where a boy is about to get hit by I think it was an ambulance or a
Yeah,
fire truck, one of the two, and the long-haired like hippie dude,
yeah.
pothead guy, he grabs the kid and like tosses him out of the way. And then a couple of seconds later, an explosion goes off and it blows a part of the fence and it cuts the dude into three pieces.
Yeah.
And he just kind of like just
Slides
slides in
off.
different directions. That was my favorite death.
That's my favorite death too in this movie.
Yeah.
So look at that! Look,
Yeah.
number ones and favorite
So he
death.
tied it. But I do agree. I do think that Final Destination 2, like one set the bar, and then two, like played off of that, added another way out, and then amped the deaths up. It definitely got way more bloody, way more gruesome.
Yes, like I'll tell you another death that another heartbreaking death is when the teenage boy dies, but like
Mm-hmm.
when the mother dies in the elevator sequence, like I hate that. Like I don't it's just it's like the eye thing for me. It's an
Mm-hmm.
elevator, and knowing that like she was beheaded in an elevator and stuck and couldn't do anything about it. Oh,
Yeah.
gets me. That one gets me. So yeah. But and I'm gonna say, and overall, I think these are some of the most likable characters in this franchise. Like, I think every character is not like necessarily like the bad character, and there's not that stereotype there. Like, I think you actually like all these characters, and you hate when they die because you just you kind of grow attached to them.
Just in general, outside of 4 and honestly 5 a little bit, just all the characters felt more in tune or something.
That's
But
what,
4 and 5, like the characters just didn't feel like they were synchronized with what they were doing or something.
there wasn't a
6 brought it back because they were a family. It made them feel more. There was more chemistry, I guess.
I think I like Five's characters. I think the only
Yeah.
one for me, and this is probably why it's my least favorite, is because Four's characters it just doesn't flow. There's no real relationship there. Like there's no chemistry. I don't think.
It just felt like they had a story to tell and then they told it, but they
Yeah,
didn't
they rushed
flourish
it.
or yeah.
It went more for, and this is bad to say because I'm a horror movie fan, but it was like, how can we up the stakes on deaths, but then let's forget about how to write characters.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought with that one. Yeah. All right. So now we're gonna rank, or we're gonna rank the opening sequences because that's the biggest thing about these movies. So this was a hard one for me.
Really?
I had a hard time ranking these, except for the last one, like the one that we're gonna talk about. That one I was like, when I rewatched it, and I'll tell you why. It's a cool concept, but everything is just it missed the point on a lot of things.
So I'm assuming we're talking about the racetrack.
Yes.
That's the least favorite one. That's also my least favorite. For me, like it seemed like when this premonition started, when the accident happened, I guess, like it showed like tires going into the crowd and taking out like 10 people and like whatever. And then it seemed like they were rushing out and they were like, oh, let's just have the stadium collapse, kill everybody, get it done with.
Yes.
Like it didn't draw out individual deaths. It was just like boom, 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 we're done.
we're done. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I'm with you 100%. Like I just felt like it was rushed. Like when you watch the opening sequences of the other movies, like it affects you because it kind of just like you slowly get to that point. Like it builds it up. Where I think this one this rushed it. It was also very much CGI, which I'm not against CGI, but when it's not done right and it comes off hokey and cheesy, and they shot this like in 3D or like after the 3D effect, it just was bad. Like it's not terrible, but it's not, out of the 6 opening sequences, like this is by far the weakest one. So,
What's your next in line?
my next one is going to be, and this was really hard to put this here. It's the airplane one.
That's my next in line.
That's your next one, yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
jumbled these around a little bit after I wrote them initially, but yeah, the airplane was my next in line. And again, not that it was bad, just compared to the other ones, it wasn't as flushed out. At some point, I mean, you show people getting sucked out of the doors, but it didn't really show how they died.
yeah.
Like you've seen explosions, you've seen fire, but it didn't draw the special effects. And just
No.
compared to other movies where they up the ante on those, it was a little lackluster.
Yes. And when it first came out, like wow, like it was
Yeah.
it's a great opening sequence, but like the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And now that we have so many others with better opening sequences, like this one falls down the list for me. What is okay? So I'll go. So this is so hard to put this one.
I feel like right here is where we're gonna deviate.
This is I think so too.
Yeah. Okay.
I really think so because I hate to put this so low. It's slightly better. Well, it ranks slightly obviously above the airplane one, but I'm going to put the highway.
The logs.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I.
Is that what you have? Are
It
you
really
kidding?
is. No, it really is. Yeah.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
So,
That's funny.
that is so crazy. Again, like I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, again, when I watched it the first time, I was like, this is crazy. I still have an impact with log trucks.
Mhm.
Like I think about this movie every time I see one. Brian Goes Blue and Coco too. What's up, my friends? How are you
How's
both
it going,
doing?
Brian?
How's it going?
Uh, yeah, I
But
think like you were saying, this one it started on the right path because it showed a couple of like the cars getting in their individual accidents and a
yeah,
couple of the main characters' individual death. But then again, it ultimately just ended up with them wrecking
yeah, yeah. And
and
the
a
thing
big
about
explosion. Yeah,
big explosion, and again, we had other movies after this that I just felt like upped it a little bit
yeah,
more. Where this one better than Airplane, obviously,
yeah.
but still like for the time it was great, and then we got more. So
Yeah.
okay, now I'm curious to know.
It would be wild if we had the exact same
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
final
number
three.
number 3 for me is The Bridge.
Okay, we deviated.
Okay.
Number three for me is the skyscraper in Bloodlines.
Oh, look at
Yeah,
that. Okay, so number 3, what was it? No, the bridge sequence for me.
the bridge. Yeah,
Honestly terrifying. Like it's freaking terrifying. Like I remember it was either a year after this movie or like a year before this movie. I remember when I was living in Missouri and there was a bridge that collapsed. It was so terrifying to think of an idea of like you're just driving on a bridge and the bridge can just collapse at any minute.
yep,
And we have one here and it's just like I'm like, oh, for the love of everything, don't ever let that happen. But
yeah.
it's been for like ever. But yeah, I still think this is great though. When I rewatched it, I was like, this is awesome. Love it. Not as strong as my second two. I do feel like that you get pretty much from point A to point B, if that makes sense. Like they're like, okay, we need to get through this sequence pretty quick. It's a bridge collapsing. People are dying. The twist, though, that I thought was nice was so we have the main girl in this movie, who wasn't supposed to die on the bridge, like originally. Like her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend saved her. So in the movie, the Tom Cruise lookalike guy is like, hey, I can go ahead and kill like an innocent person and it saves me, or gives me their life or whatever. Or I could just kill the main girl in this movie pretty much for like revenge of his girlfriend's death and the fact that like she wasn't supposed to die. So yeah. But I love the bridge opening sequence. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, go ahead and ping Brian and sing.
Brian says, going good. I feel like the log death is overrated. It's cool, but the more so fear of a water bottle getting stuck on underneath my brake pedal. Oh, he's talking about like
like a water bottle rolling in his car and getting stuck underneath his brake pedal.
That is terrifying. That is
it is terrifying. Yeah.
Anyway, so what's your number
3? We did number 3. Number 3 was the skyscraper.
Okay, skyscraper. Okay.
2, yeah. So my number 2 is the roller coaster.
Oh.
So I was really torn on this one, but I think, which we've already established that I love roller coasters. I think the big thing for this one was how it broke each death down, and it all happened so rapidly. Mm-hmm. And like the people that were in the back, they were literally watching this happen, and they knew that there was nothing that they could do. They were strapped in. The roller coaster was going so fast. Like there was a guy that got like ripped in half straight through the middle. It got stuck upside down. Then people lost the grip. Like it individually showed each person's death.
Yep.
And I think that's why this stuck out so much to me.
Yeah. So, ironically enough, my second favorite is the roller coaster.
Okay.
Look at that, like overall, we're pretty awesome with this.
Yeah, 1 and 3, they got rotated.
Yeah. But yes, for sure, love this. Like you said, this was, I think, like besides the airplane thing, like when you're on this roller coaster, there's nowhere you can go. Like you're seeing these people die in front of you. You know you're going to be next. And that's terrifying. And I love roller coasters. I've never had that fear of a roller coaster breaking down. Knock on wood. Hopefully that never happens, or this never happens.
Yeah.
But I remember watching this in theaters, and again, this was like one of the first R-rated movies I can go see by myself. And me and my friend were watching this, and it was like, this is crazy. And I think that one thing that really stands out for me still today when I rewatch it, probably the most terrifying thing about that scene is when they're hanging, and like it's tilted and upside down, and like they just start falling.
Yep.
And
I've never had a fear of a roller coaster breaking like to that extent, where like they're flying off the tracks and getting decapitated and everything else. But I have had fears of getting stuck upside down on a roller coaster.
Yeah, that one for sure had that fear. I did have a ride breakdown, and it was at Disneyland when I went on the Pinocchio ride, and the lights went up, and we saw gum on the walls and everything, and I was like, "Well, the magic is gone, folks."
So you've been to Disney? Have you ever? Did you ride It's a Small World?
Yes, I did.
That is the worst freaking ride known to man.
That is not
so slow. It was so boring. It was so long. And by the end of it, it played that same stupid song over and over and over again. And I wanted to blow my brains out.
Oh my gosh, I need to find that song on YouTube and just.
And I have heard stories of people breaking down on that ride, and that haunts my worst nightmares.
You'd be stuck in there. You don't know what.
Just listening to that damn song just over and over.
You're in a boat. You're in a boat. You can't go anywhere. These creepy dolls are looking at you, and that song is just playing constantly, constantly. I need
Hey,
to
how's it
find.
going, J-Dev?
What's up, J-Dab? Jason, what's going on, buddy? How's it going? But I need to really find that song and just play for you one day at work. Just be like, it's
I will throw your phone just right over the counter. It's a
oh.
small world over there.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. All
yeah.
right. So number one for me, the Skyrise
Yeah.
Bloodlines. Oh, like I was on the edge of my seat pretty much from the time that they get on the elevator and the door is not closing all the way. And the guy's like, oh, it does that sometimes. I'm like, hell no, I'm not gonna go
Yeah.
on a freaking elevator. And besides, everybody was cramming in on that elevator, and I'm like, this is not good. I don't like this. I'm like not a fan of this part. And then the whole, what's up, Nathan? How's it going? Doing great, bud. Doing great. But that whole like, I don't know, like you're just like on this. First of all, there's no stories below them. They're on a skyscraper. Like you really just have like a beam, pretty much carrying you. I think.
You know what?
And
Now that we're talking about this, I really do think that was my number 3, and I think we did skip over it.
no, you talked about
Did
it.
I? Did I?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
you talked about it.
Okay.
But
I can't remember.
but like, I think the thing that got me the most though was the fact that like they're on this glass dance floor, and you can clearly see through it, and like you can see the concrete ground. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'll pass on the dancing, and everybody's like, twisting, shouting, and tapping their feet on it, and I'm like, like
I
there's
think
a
what
max of how many
I
people should
think
be
what bothered me the most about that is obviously you could see through it and everything and see how you were up. If I'm that high up, the whole time I'm walking on that glass floor, I'm be looking down.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm like, I'm not even dancing. I'm like, I'm not even going near the
Yeah.
thing because I'm
If you
looking at
got
it the whole entire
70
time.
people dancing on this glass dance floor, like how did nobody notice it?
Yes, and then you got the worst part about this, and I think you can agree with me, is that part of my language, that damn kid that like
Yeah.
kept doing everything wrong that every
Little
adult was
shithead.
saying don't do, and was calling like the guard like a fat something. I don't want to cuss too much on here, and like throwing the penny off the side of the building, and that penny like for whatever reason stayed throughout this whole entire movie. Um oh gosh, I was terrified. I mean, this freaked me out. Like I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. And I got to talk about a performance. I loved the main girl in the opening of this. Like
Mhm.
who would go up to be the grandmother. She was great in this movie.
Iris was her name.
Yes, Iris. And I would have loved to have seen maybe like I mean, I love overall really enjoy the movie, but I would love to have seen like a movie just based on Iris as a young
Yeah,
woman.
it
And
would have been really cool if they had flushed out like an extra 10 minutes onto the movie and just kind of
yes,
showed her experiencing some of the things and like learning how to dodge death.
yes, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
I hate to spoil one tiny thing. I'm gonna spoil it, and I'm sorry, but we kind of talked about how the movie like so in this opening sequence, you find out that no one died because it's called Bloodlines. Like no one in the she warned everybody um to just let them know, hey, we need to get out of here. So everybody survived the actual event. It wasn't until later on that like people started dying and their families started dying. And there's one character, this one little boy, um, he's like 5 years old, who survives, and it winds up, and I hate to spoil it, it winds up being Tony Todd's character. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, I don't know if I noticed that.
You didn't notice that? Yeah, Tony
Yeah,
Todd
so
was
that
the little boy that she
oh
saved.
the okay, never mind. The okay.
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
thinking I got distracted for like 5 seconds, and I was thinking you were saying uh,
Oh, the Penny Kid.
the little shithead kid.
Oh
Yeah,
no, that kid did.
was in my head. I was like, that's Alex, and I'm like from the first movie, and I was like, no, that timeline doesn't add up, and then I realized.
But yeah, no. But I thought that was a cool little thing that they threw that in there.
Yeah.
But that little shithead of a kid. The one that kept throwing the pennies. His
Yeah.
death in the premonition was great. Like he thinks he survives all this stuff, and then a freaking piano goes.
You know, yeah,
off him,
yeah.
you know? Yeah.
So my number one was The Bridge.
Really? And
Yes, I loved The Bridge. So when I was rewatching it, for those of you that don't know, we both live in Kentucky, and I don't know how often you drive to Louisville through the Indiana side.
Not very
Like
often.
if you go through like New Albany, Clarksville area.
Yes.
So the bridge right before you get to Louisville is always it's a multi-layered bridge, and it is always being worked on.
Oh, no.
Every single time I go over it is being worked on. So the whole time we was watching that movie sequence, that's all I was thinking about was that damn bridge. I loved how they broke each death down. Particularly, there are two deaths that pop out to me. It was the first girl that falls off the bridge, and there's a boat going underneath it, and she gets impaled through the stomach by the by the mast or whatever that holds the sail on it. That part, and then there was one scene because there's a construction company working on the bridge, and they had like asphalt trucks and stuff, and like sealant trucks, and the one guy takes all the asphalt sealant straight to his face, and it like burns him alive. Like those are some brutal ways to go.
Yeah, that's got some good ones.
Yeah,
and then you got the girl that like winds up like dying with like the laser in the eye. How she doesn't she like fall in the water and like then a truck or something like just hits her?
Yeah, a vehicle lands on her, and I think another girl was holding on, and she slipped, and then she hit like the bottom of the pillar.
Yes.
And then the main character guy was holding on to that like guardrail, and then like scaffolding comes and like impales him.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, there was a lot of very like gory deaths in that opening sequence.
I mean, that's it was my third favorite death.
Yeah,
opening sequence. So it was still great. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, yeah. So I love that one. That was an awesome choice. And the fifth one's like one of your like it's on your bottom.
Yeah, it's bottom tier. Yeah,
very
I think it's my second.
I mean, Bloodlines was the same way for me. That was my second to least favorite, and Bloodlines wound up being my favorite opening sequence.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's Final Destination, everybody.
Yeah. So
great movie.
Our next episode, for anybody interested, will be on the 18th. This one, we're going to be doing a little bit of a free for all. We're not going to be talking about any movie set in particular or doing any kind of rankings. We're going to be talking about some LGBTQ movies in honor of Pride Month. And then we're going to be talking about, because we're in June. This is the middle of the year. We're going to be talking about movies that we're most excited for in the second half of the year.
Yes. So,
especially July, because we're coming up on some like hella summer blockbusters. Like there's a lot coming out right now.
July's hitting it really, really good.
Yes.
But I'm excited. I let TJ borrow some LGBT plus films that I think you'll just love. Like they're so freaking funny. Like there's some funny ones in there. So yeah, we'll be talking about in honor, like TJ said, in honor of Pride Month, some LGBTQ plus films, and then talk about our most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. July's going to be jam packed. I think I have 4 or 5 movies I have to go see that month.
There's at least 3 off the top of my head that I want to see. So,
Superman,
Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, and then you're really excited for I Know What You Did Last Summer. But I don't want to go too much into that. We'll talk about that next week.
We'll talk,
Or next podcast.
So
yeah,
don't want to spoil too much with it.
We could also kind of throw in like our favorite movies of the first half of the year too. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, so it's I
Yeah,
think next week could just be a mix of everything. Like
yeah, yeah,
it could be a topic of a whole different stuff. So there won't be
yeah.
a main topic, but we'll just throw in we'll throw in like 3 topics. So
Yeah.
what
Be a
impressed
little
us
bit of
so
a free
far
for
this
all.
year? What impressed us so far this year? What's going to impress us the rest of the year, hopefully? And the gayest of all gays of movies. So that needs to be a T-shirt. I need to create that. The gayest
The
of all
gayest of all
gays.
gays. Rainbow font.
That's my slogan. So, but anyway, TJ, this was awesome tonight, bud.
Yeah, yeah. Had fun.
Yep, I had a blast. I really love talking about these movies. Like in general, for me, rewatching them, it'd been a long time since I'd seen the Final Destination movies. So like watching all 6 movies, not back to back to back, but close. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, any final thoughts? You're a rock star. That's it. Can you hear me? You can't? Can you hear me now? But any thumbs up? Did you final thoughts? Oh wait, he's checking something, everybody. Are you frozen?
Yeah. No, I just had a.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I had a little bit of audio thing. I closed the program and I didn't realize
Anyway,
the microphone was running through that. But yeah, no, I'm just hyped. I'm ready to talk about ready to do our next show.
same here. Same here. Well, anybody, I love this because we always kind of like end at the hour-and-a-half mark. So this is
Yep.
kind of nice. This is our thing. I like it. I like it a lot. But this was a blast, everybody. If you watched the live stream, thank you for watching. Thank you for the comments tonight. I saw a lot of familiar faces in here. So, and our boy Ashton and Ethan and Jason and Brian and Coco and so many others. Thank you. Yeah, much love to you all. Thank you so much. And you said June 18th, right? Is our next
Yeah,
one.
that'll be our next one. Yeah, 2 weeks.
So look forward to that, everybody. Please go and, first of all, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel, Ryan1988. But if you haven't subscribed to our podcast channel, Cinema Edge,
which at this moment only has 14 subscribers.
So please,
please hustle.
Please go subscribe. We love doing this stuff, and we really want to build that channel more and more. And maybe we'll start doing like shorts on that channel just to kind of get people.
Yeah, we definitely need to get more into the editing, and we do need to figure out how to get audio from StreamYards.
Yeah,
at some point too.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, love you all. I'm gonna stop rambling. Have a great night. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody. And we're still live, so just
awkward moments.